If you were to ask any Canadian if they have eaten pizza at least once in their life, chances are they would say yes, which is not surprising considering how one of the most popular fast foods in Canada is undeniably the pizza pie. Nowadays, the choices people have with their pizza is near infinite. Dozens of toppings, various choices of sauces. These are just some of the ways that can make a pizza personalized. But with so many options to choose from, how do Canadians like their pizza? We decided to hit the streets of Toronto and ask people about their pizza habits.
So how often would you eat pizza?
Twice a month, maybe.
Twice a month? Okay.
I'd say probably once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, fair enough.
Probably like twice a week.
Twice a week?
Like once a month.
Okay.
Oh, now not too much, but I used to be a big pizza eater.
Really?
Yeah.
Rarely.
Rarely.
Once a year.
And freshly baked or frozen?
Freshly baked.
Freshly baked?
Yeah.
And can I ask why?
Tastes better. It does taste better.
Fresh.
I think it just tastes better.
Tastes better? Yeah.
I always prefer fresh products. First, they have more nutrient value, and I think they taste better.
Fresh, because I can make it myself.
Because you can make it yourself?
Yeah.
Yep.
You can be in control of how it tastes.
Perfect.
Depending on the months.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's winter, I probably won't go out to buy pizza, frozen pizza. But during the summer, there's hot pizza tastes good.
What makes your favorite pizza your favorite pizza?
How many toppings are on it?
How many toppings
The more
are?
the better.
The more the better? Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, thin crust,
Thin crust.
extra crispy.
The taste per se is very important. Like it doesn't have to taste like you buy some sand. You know, it has to taste like food and it has the taste of pizza. The aroma, the smell, it's very important. Like it has to smell like this. It's appetizing to smell like pizza.
Yeah, of course.
I like fluffy.
Fluffy?
Yeah.
So like thicker crust kind of thing?
They're thicker.
Maybe a little extra sauce.
Multigrain.
You have to be able to savor the ingredients which are in the pizza. Like if you order a pizza with mushrooms and olive, you have to feel like you are eating some mushrooms there and some olives and some, yeah.
Although the pizza preferences were diverse, the common denominator for an ideal pizza was, hands down, the freshly baked instead of frozen store-bought pizza. But why is that? We took this opportunity to check out a local pizzeria in the heart of a little Italy called Standard, where we got a first-hand look of how freshly baked pizza is made. 4 different pizzas were prepared and cooked in a wood-burning oven. The pizzas were great, and it made us wonder what makes freshly baked pizza so special. To give us more insight on the matter, we sat down with Chef Joaquin, who has an online food blog about his passion of food and cooking.
If you see a fresh pizza, you see that it's made of, like you see built from scratch. Like unlike let's say with frozen pizza, there's like a certain kind of a process, like a factory process. And one of my favorite things about pizza making is that you made it on your bare hands rather than having like a mass-produced pizza line. It's kind of a difficult process though when you form that pizza dough. I try to be minimalist as possible. So these ingredients like flour, eggs, yeast, water, mix it up and good to go.
And then what would the toppings be on that pizza?
It depends. That's how I become creative. Pizza as a dish, it's a great outlet for like not only chefs but also people who love pizza to have their own creativity unleashed in that dish. The way the pizza is cooked on a wood-fired process rather than on a standard oven process, the way the wood is burned when you cook the pizza, it actually somehow contributes to the flavor of the pizza and the degree of its burning process. So it gives it more delicious taste, I would say.
Freshly baked pizza may have the best taste, but there are moments where frozen pizza tends to be the preferred option.
Sometimes I do eat the frozen one because it's a little easier.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, frozen pizza isn't exactly the healthiest thing, but it's the most convenient to make. So I mean, it's a question of convenience over health at that point.
I would guess that it's probably convenience.
Convenience?
Yeah.
You're just gonna get those instant stuff because you're always busy with exams and everything.
Yeah.
You won't have the time to say, "Oh, I'm gonna have the fresh pizza," because you just want an instant thing. So frozen pizza is the best choice. So people want that quick fix always. And frozen pizza can do that. Fresh pizza won't.
Everything that is better, it's harder to get.
Personal preferences aside, we wondered if there are any nutritional differences between eating frozen pizzas and freshly baked pizza.
Maybe frozen has some preservatives.
So preservatives, yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Okay.
No, sounded healthy.
When I eat pizza, I never think about health impact.
I just don't like the smell of frozen.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To get a clearer understanding of nutritional aspects of eating frozen pizza, we sought the help of a nutrition expert, Mary Scorbatakos, who is studying nutrition currently at the University of Toronto.
I think that society's desire for real food is shifting people away from frozen foods because we all realize that when food is frozen, we're picking it at one stage, but then all the time between when it's picked to when you actually cook it in your oven, during that time nutrient levels can be degrading. Also, the food industry has to add things like preservatives to keep it all that time. So I think that people are becoming more interested in nutrition and more interested in the healthfulness of their food, and that is shifting them away from processed foods, especially those that are frozen. In terms of calories, they're pretty similar. Each option had about 250 calories, which is pretty average for a piece of pizza. The difference was in terms of sodium. So sodium is a nutrient that's getting a lot of attention these days because it's a major risk factor for heart disease. And we know that heart disease is a major killer. We also know that most Canadians eat way too much sodium. So when we compared these two types of pizza, what I saw was that the pizza that was coming from the frozen brand had much more sodium, almost 200 milligrams more sodium compared to the pizza that was coming from a restaurant. So that's one factor that definitely could influence people's choices, the fact that when they're having the frozen pizza, in terms of sodium, it may be less healthy.
With health being a major concern for the public, there seems to be a heated contention between frozen pizza brands and pizza restaurants.
The fresh pizza, I would say, will have a tough competition with frozen pizzas.
The food industry is famous for slapping on a title like, healthy for you, good for you, gluten-free, and it definitely has an effect on the consumer's perception of that product. But in the case of gluten, for instance, it's been well shown now that for some people gluten is a problem, but for many people it's not. And just because a product has that label doesn't necessarily mean it's more healthy. But again, does it mean that the consumer is aware of that? Often they're not.
Multiple creative and healthy options have sprung up all around the pizza industry.
Because a lot of what's contributing extra calories, extra saturated fat, and extra sodium is the toppings. And that's where fresh baked pizza can actually be a better option, because often when you're at a restaurant, you have full control over the toppings that you're putting on that pizza. So when you have just a cheese pizza, there isn't a huge difference between the restaurants and the frozen foods. Once you start adding pepperoni, sausage, all those sorts of, especially the meat ingredients, you're getting lots of sodium, lots of saturated fat.
I believe that the pizza industry is continuously reinventing different food styles. The pizza shops that I go to, they have many options like vegetarian options, low calorie options, protein only options. The way they cook their bread is gluten free. Now they try to accommodate different dietary demands, I would say so.
But are these trends changing the authenticity of pizza? Or will pizza continue to be recognizable as a traditional Italian specialty?
I think that making pizza healthier doesn't have to change it from its Italian roots. As a matter of fact, I remember the first time I ever went to Rome and had pizza, the particular place that I went to used a lot less cheese than I was used to. And I was kind of blown away because I thought, oh, in North America, we're used to having this, lots of cheese on our pizza. And I went there and it was much, much lighter. So that shows how some ways maybe we have changed pizza from the traditional Roman tradition and made it less healthy. And making it more healthy may in fact be making it more like some traditional pizzas.
Pizza will continue to stay in the food industry, but it has it's saturated with its own pros and cons.
Yeah.
Which is very dynamic as you go.
But then also the question is, will people eat pizza less often and just choose to go for another type of fast food? And I think that also might be possible because we see all of these different types of chains emerging, ones that sell themselves as being healthy, whether they are or aren't, but they can compete with pizza chains in that way, which sometimes, as you say, can be perceived as being less healthy.
Whether eating Hawaiian, vegetarian, or meat lovers pizza, there is no doubt the beloved Italian pie will continue being a top fast food choice for Canadians.